This year we've been getting a lot of different styles of remake. Games that are pretty much just remasters, or games that are reimaginings of a retro classic. But the System Shock remake, to me, feels different because it is an actual brick-by-brick reconstruction. This is the original game. The same puzzles, the same monsters, the same story, and yet somehow it is just way better in every single way. But let's talk about that. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I want to start this review off with a gigantic warning, which is that System Shock is a very tough game. During the course of this video, I died probably 400 different times, from laser beams, radiation, random creatures spawning behind me, or just death traps I accidentally fell into. System Shock is a game that is made to brutalize you, but that's also part of the plot. So in System Shock, we're playing as an unnamed hacker who's been transported to a mining colony where an evil rogue AI named SHODAN has managed to completely take over. Now, this is in the future of 2072, and in this time period, everybody has cool neural implants. Well, SHODAN has managed to hack those. Essentially what this means is that people have been turned into cool cybernetic zombies. They're stumbling around, they're trying to shoot you, and they are incredibly savage when you encounter them. The actual difficulty, though, of System Shock comes down to two separate things. One, this game has a non-linear narrative, which means that a lot of times you can explore in any way you want. This spaceship is huge. It has like 9 different floors, and all of them don't really tell you where to go. So you can walk down random hallways, hack random doors, find random collectibles, or even discover weird hidden audio logs that build out the lore of this very cool world. But that's also part of what makes it so incredibly difficult. Ammo is limited. Your steel pipe that you're hitting people with doesn't exactly do the most damage. You are going to very much run out of health and health kits before you run out of enemies, because the other part of this difficulty is that there is a lot of respawns. Every quadrant of this ship just is perpetually 3D printing new zombies to try and just chase you down, which means a lot of times I would die again and again and again simply from pure atrophy. This game actually looks great, it controls great. Playing this on PC, every headshot, every laser beam, every power-up feels exactly the way it's supposed to. It just comes down to the fact that you cannot make mistakes. Every single time you die, it is a gigantic L, because you know all that stuff's going to respawn and you are going to be down a couple more bullets. Now let me talk about what specifically is new in this remake, because this is actually what I enjoyed the most. I have played the original System Shock, and no hate on that game. It came out back in 1994, but the graphics sucked. They were pretty much borderline blurry random blocks and pixels. I mean, that's the way a lot of stuff was. That game came out like 2 years before Metroidvanias even existed. It came out before Super Metroid or Castlevania or anything. So the game was obviously ancient. This time around, they have reimagined a lot of those blurry pixels to now be beautiful environments, cool bloody floors, graffiti on the walls, and the enemies themselves all look a lot freaking better, along with the fact that they have redone a lot of audio logs so that while you're playing this, it's really cool to see random dialogue that hints as to where you're supposed to go. The general gameplay of this is trying to just explore different places like medical and research facility and the hacker bays and try and figure out what specifically you're supposed to do. So a lot of times you will find tapes from other survivors who have been trying to battle against this evil AI SHODAN, and if they talk about breaking into an area or trying to get past a turret, a lot of times you need to finish their work. And honestly, the storytelling in this game is brilliant. I am actually impressed that, if anything, the story is better today This game has aged so good, I think I appreciate the environment and the environmental storytelling even more than I did back in the day. The completely overhauled visual presentation and even the improved little bits to the actual screen, like the interface, this is a much more playable version of this very, very old school, very rough game at times. But I have to say, my favorite part about this really does just come down to when you manage to figure out what the heck to do. Very early on, you start to unlock different elevators, and you can go to hangar bays and nuclear reactors and stuff like that, and you kind of just have to fumble around in the dark until you figure out what the heck you're supposed to do. During this, the game will do some very unforgiving things, like it'll actually show you a randomized password that you have to write down on an actual piece of paper so that you can remember it. This game will give you passwords, and if you forget it, your save file will break. And I'm dead serious about that. It'll give you a password that if you just forget to do, you'll either have to go back and actually physically look at it, or you're just screwed. But that's also part of the time period they're trying to capture. You can reread a lot of the audio logs, you can reread stuff if you find like actual notes and stuff, but for a lot of these passwords and puzzles, it is actually up to you to even keep track of it. Now, I have not said this very often, but I played this game on normal. It was savage as hell. I mean, I used quick save constantly. There are so many times where you'll walk into a room and a random bomb just flies straight at your face. So I ended up pressing the quick save button pretty much constantly. Pretty much anytime I was going to test something or fight somebody, a lot of times I'd take a step back, I'd take a deep breath, and then I'd be like, okay, now I'm ready for the encounter. But that's also part of what is just so addictive about this game, is that it is something that feels so incredibly punishing. Now, I played this on normal. Apparently, there is an ultra easy mode that makes it where there's actual waypoints and the enemies don't respawn so much. I do think that if you are a very casual person who just wants to experience this very cool classic story, maybe try that out. A person playing this without waypoints, the game at times is a bit confusing because there isn't really a quest log. There isn't really any sort of like modernization of the storytelling mechanics. A lot of times if someone just lightly hints as to checking out the biodomes and stuff like that, it is your choice to go and find the grove, find the elevators, find out what's going on. This game definitely likes to mess with you, giving invisible enemies, randomly having monsters pop up and chase you down. There are people that can hit you through walls. I mean, this game, it's definitely based on 1994 vibes. If you're trying to capture a modern, smooth, streamlined experience, that's not this. But I have said in the past that I do feel like there is a rare importance to the fact that we need to be able to preserve those classic games. This is System Shock. Obviously, System Shock 1 and System Shock 2 led very directly to the birth of BioShock, which obviously I have BioShock tattoos. I'm obsessed with BioShock. This is an important time capsule that previously had not aged the best. It's actually cool that now we have a modern version of System Shock. I mean, warts and all, the game is rough, the game is clunky at times, but it's cool to see how much they've managed to improve it. The biggest total overhaul they've done to the game itself, though, in my opinion, is just the AI in general. Enemies feel a lot more intelligent. They're a lot more willing to chase you down. They're a lot better at aiming. They're a lot more vicious in general. So it makes even random guys, they do have a chance to completely screw over a good save. And the other part of this that they've actually completely changed for the better is cyberspace. There are these moments where you're actually playing the game and you have to like put your brain into a computer and fly around to do your hacking. These looked really incredibly, confusingly terrible in the original game. Now, not only do they look good, they look great. This is so much better, like straight up across the board. This is finally a more playable experience. System Shock is not a game for everybody, and the System Shock remake is not going to really be the most approachable, newcomer-friendly experience, but for people that played it back in the day, this is a great remake. And for people that are curious, well, maybe try it on the easiest difficulty and tell me what you think. Okay, so we've heard some good and some bad, but let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving the System Shock remake an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. Man, this game kicked my ass so freaking bad. But you know, sometimes it makes us a better, stronger person to be relentlessly bullied by a giant AI named SHODAN. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.